Well, it's that time of year again. Hi everyone, it's me Gaming Do, and this is coming out before Christmas this year. Yeah, guys, today we are doing my 2019 movie ranking. Every year since 2017, I have done a ranking of the movies I saw from this year. And to recap it, my least favorite film of 2017 was The Emoji Movie. And my favorite film from that year was War for the Planet of the Apes, and is probably my favorite film of the latter half of the 2010s. I still adore that film. And then 2018, my least favorite was Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yeah, I know. And my favorite was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I've kind of gone back and forth with Avengers Infinity War on that one, but I like both of them pretty much equally. So, without further ado, let's get on to the 2019 movie ranking list. Starting with number 11, we have the Banana Splits movie, the worst film of 2019 in my opinion. Plain and simple, this is some of the worst acting I have ever seen in a movie, period. I can't help it. It's pathetic, kind of. Now, I guess I'm not trying to insult them. I'm not trying to insult the actors or anything, but this film in particular doesn't really have any good acting in it. Also, I think the kills are, while most of them are pretty good, they're kind of cheesy. And it ultimately brings down the film a lot to where I only really have one positive, and that is the splits. It's really cool to see the Banana Splits again. After almost 50 years? But yeah. This film's probably, I would put it in around the D range now. I'm really not a big fan of this one. Coming in at number 10, we have Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel was a good movie. It was a good movie. Nothing more than that, but nothing below that. I hear a lot of people at the beginning of this year were like, oh, I don't want to see Captain Sexist, oh, this, that, Brie Larson's comments, and I was like, I'm not really focused on that. I'm focused on going to see a good movie, and I was satisfied. But there were a few problems. I think Brie Larson's acting could have been a little bit better, but I think she did good with what she got. I feel like Nick Fury was awesome. I really feel like Goose was hilarious. I like the whole Skrull storyline of this film, and the film is not phenomenal like most of the MCU, but it's good. It's nice and satisfying to see a female superhero in the MCU get her own movie. But I think next year's Black Widow is going to be better than this. That's why a B- is probably fair. Number 9, we got something that is probably going to cause a lot of controversy, but I don't really care. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm not going to make many friends with this one. Number 9 is Spider-Man Far From Home. Tell you the story, I really wasn't a big fan of this movie after I reviewed it. I was trying to stay positive about this film, but then I was like, I didn't get anything I really loved from Homecoming in this film. But then, upon second rewatch, I realized it's okay to be a little bit different. And because of that, my opinion has changed that this movie is back to being good. Granted, it's not one of the MCU's best in my opinion. I still far prefer Homecoming. I'm sorry. But I'm one of those guys who prefers Homecoming by a landslide. But that doesn't mean... It doesn't mean I hate this movie. I really like it. But I feel like the kids in the film, like Ned and his girlfriend, and everyone kind of besides MJ and Peter, weren't really that good in my opinion. I felt like they could have been done a lot better. And the best part of this film, in my opinion, is what some people called, one person at least, kind of called weak. And that's Mysterio. I love Mysterio in this film. He was so cool. If you had a Homecoming style storyline, like, sort of like, I don't know, if it was a little more similar to Homecoming, I would have liked it more. But it's okay to be different, ultimately. So that's why I liked it. About a B. Okay, number 8 is next, and that movie is a film I didn't really know about until, like, July. And that film is Good Boys. This is a really funny movie. In particular, I think the funniest scene in the movie is when they're basically getting into an argument and they're bawling their eyes out, and then this weird old man, I guess, is sort of laughing at them, and then the one kid is like, "What the fuck are you looking at, Gandalf?" I don't know why. I was laughing hysterically at that scene. And then the rest of the movie is really funny too. Like, I like the whole how many sips of beer gig they sort of pull off. And I got a real kick out of the scene when they were trying to cross the highway. There's just a lot of scenes in this movie that's really funny. But there's one thing that brings it down for me. I didn't like the ending. I found the ending to be wasted, sort of. This entire movie was them trying to be together and trying to be cool at the same time, but both of that is kind of stripped away from them, which, I'm sorry, it really makes me upset and kind of ruined the movie a little bit for me. Still a good and funny movie, but if it wasn't for the ending, this probably might have made the top 5 for me. But because of that, it doesn't. So, next up, we got number... Alrighty, sorry guys, in the last shot, a really loud truck was coming by where I lived, and to save your ears from bleeding, I cut the video short. So, now we are on to the number 7 spot, which, coming in at number 7 for 2019 films, we have Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Let me tell you this, I'm not a big fan of the sequel trilogy of Star Wars movies, especially Last Jedi. But, in my opinion, I know this is going to be kind of unpopular, I thought this was the best of the sequel trilogy. Yes, guys, I like this more than The Force Awakens. Why? First, from what I've heard from people before I saw this movie, it felt the most original trilogy-like. And it does. This one is the one that feels the most like the original trilogy. But that's in a good way, except for one thing, which is my major complaint with the movie. And that is Emperor Palpatine. Yup. I did not like him in this film. I felt like there is no purpose to bring him back. Literally not a purpose in the world to bring Emperor Palpatine back. But they did. And I also would have liked to have seen a little more of the Ewoks, which I know nobody's really a big fan of the Ewoks, but I find them kind of cute. So when I saw him at the end of the movie appearing for like 5 seconds, I was like, "Aw, man!" And once I heard Endor, I was like, "Oh gosh, are the Ewoks gonna come back?" And then I saw them and I was like, "Yes!" But they only appeared for like 5 seconds. And that really disappointed me. Like, really disappointed me. So, yeah. Unfortunately, that does take down the movie a little bit. But the rest of it was great. I love the dynamic between Poe, Finn, and Rey. And that lightsaber duel on the dead Death Star between Kylo Ren and Rey was the best of the sequel trilogy. And that's why Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is number 7. Coming in at number 6, we have Shazam. Shazam is the most recent movie I've seen on this list. In terms of order I've seen it, this isn't the most recent one, but you know what I mean. This is the one I saw the most recently. Today, actually. And it was great. The action for this film was great. The mix of comedy and drama was great. I love the way all the Shazams, basically the foster home family, besides the parents, could become their own versions of Shazam at the end of the movie. And it's so cool to see them all have their own power. Well, Billy has all the powers. I think they sort of split them between the other 5, and my complaint with this film is that at times it does feel a little slow. Just a little slow. Not like real slow, but it can drag on a little bit. And then at times I do feel like it's a little tiny bit mean-spirited. But besides that, this is a really cool movie, and finally we kind of have a light-hearted DCU film, and I'm really happy about that. So, this is why it comes in at number 6. Not gonna make many friends with number 5, am I? Well, I'm going for it. Coming in at number 5 on our 2019 movie ranking. Yep. Toy Story 4. I know, I'm very aware of it. Go ahead and yell at me, go ahead and unsubscribe, I don't care. This is my opinion. I felt like the positives of this movie are better than the positives of Shazam, but the negatives of this movie are definitely more negative than Shazam. Because there's one huge negative in particular that I have with this film. Plain and simple, Bonnie. What she did to Woody in this film is utterly ridiculous. She made a promise to Andy in the last film that she was going to take care of Woody. What does she do probably months after that? Leaves him in the closet, which I don't get it. You'd rather bring out, like, a toy pig, a piggy bank. You'd rather bring out that and, like, a Mr. Potato Head and a whole bunch of other toys that aren't really that cool rather than Woody. I don't get it. If I was a kid, I would rather bring out Woody than probably half the toys she was playing with, honestly. I'm gonna be honest, but then again, I don't know, she's a kid, I guess, but that's definitely my biggest problem with the movie, but the positives are so positive, it's not even funny. I love Toy Story 4 nonetheless. Now, what was my favorite part of the movie, though? That would be by far that even though the old characters don't quite appear as much in this film, the new characters more than make up for it. Bunny and Ducky have the funniest scenes in the movie where they scare an old lady in the antique shop. I love the dynamic between Woody and Bo Peep. I love Duke Kaboom and kind of how his story is pretty similar to Buzz Lightyear's story in the first Toy Story. And then you can't forget the ending. The ending to this film, I feel like, is slightly better than Toy Story 3's ending. There, I said it. I just feel like, wow, that was the end of Andy's story. This is the end of the Toys story. So, do not make a Toy Story 5, Pixar, please. This is a perfect ending. Maybe make a Disney Plus show. Well, they technically are, but I mean, a Disney Plus show that shows the adventures of Woody and Bo Peep, or maybe Bonnie's Toys. Well, you kind of got that with Forky Asked a Question, but yeah. So that's it for number 5. Coming in at number 4, we have It Chapter 2. Yeah, I liked It Chapter 2 more than Toy Story 4. Why, though? Because I feel like this was a damn near perfect ending to this 2-chapter saga. And I loved the first It, but in my humble opinion, very unpopular opinion, I like this one even more. What's so great about It Chapter 2? What I think is so great about It Chapter 2 is the dynamic between the Adult Losers Club. Richie, Andy, Bill, all of them as adults is so incredible to watch. Especially the scene where they're in the Chinese restaurant and you see all the little cool creatures walking out of the fortune cookies. It is so neat. This is probably the most neat film of 2019. You just see so many neat things. Pennywise's forms are neat. Pennywise in general is scary as all hell. I couldn't believe some of the scenes they actually did with the kids, and I was like, you dare do this to kids? This movie has balls. This movie has balls. And that's basically about it for It Chapter 2. I love this film. Truly, you get exactly what you'd want from this film, plus more, and that's why it's number 4. Number 3 is a film that I expected was actually not going to be quite as good as everyone said it was, but it turned out to be. So, number 3 is Joker. Joker just is probably the most uncomfortable film of 2019. This movie makes you feel very uncomfortable. But to say this isn't a fantastic movie is more crazy than Arthur Fleck himself. This movie is incredible. From the acting by Joaquin Phoenix, just the pure, I guess you could say, it's not really a horror movie, but it is a scary movie to watch and disturbing. Like, there are some fucked up scenes in this film that I don't think you've seen in many other films. You see how tragic Arthur's life is and kind of the reason why you sympathize with him a little bit, even though what he does is not justified. Because it is fucked up. But you can kind of sympathize with him because his life is terrible. And just the acting in this film, top notch. Probably the best acting of 2019. So, without a doubt, Joker makes the top 3. Number 2, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Can I tell you a big secret? I never saw any of Quentin Tarantino's films until this year. And this was my very first one behind Pulp Fiction. And because of this film, I watched even more Quentin Tarantino films. In my opinion, this is my personal favorite. I have a lot of unpopular opinions. Nah, okay. Pulp Fiction is probably slightly better, but this is my second favorite. Don't get me wrong. I love this film so much. From the acting with Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt as Rick Dalton and Cliff, it was just top-notch acting. Probably tied with Joker as the best acting this year. Especially that scene where Rick has a breakdown in his trailer. It is so emotional, and you see how good Leonardo DiCaprio can act, even though he has acted in so many other great films. Like, in particular, my personal favorite Leonardo DiCaprio film besides this would be The Great Gatsby. I know that's kind of unpopular. I have a lot of unpopular opinions, but he just portrays the character from the book so well. And I mean, this guy has been in Titanic, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, Wolf of Wall Street. There's just so many great films with this guy. And then Brad Pitt also has Ad Astra, and I believe it was in Legends of the Fall. Great actors in this movie. And Margot Robbie proves to be a great actress again. And you can't forget the ending that is so freaking violent, but so freaking satisfying to see what happens to the Manson family in this movie. My God, it is pure brilliance. This film is my number 2 spot just because of how much I loved it and how much it shocked me on how much I did love it. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is definitely a film I'd recommend. But not quite as much as my number 1. And you probably saw this coming a mile away. I know. But obviously my number 1 is Cats. I'm just pulling your leg. Number 1 is Avengers Endgame. What else would it be? Like, seriously. The end to this 11-year saga. I know. Star Wars is the end to an over 40-year saga. But it didn't quite end it nearly as well as Avengers Endgame. Just ending the series this way, in this fashion, to where every single scene in this movie I liked. I can't find a single flaw with this film. This, in my opinion, is what you call a perfect movie. You know what? What hasn't been said about this film? Just, the action is great. The character portrayals are great. This is a perfect way to end everyone's character, and you cannot forget. You better not forget the ending portal fight. Where technically Hulk brought everyone back, by the way, but when you hear Falcon say on your left, it's literally brought me close to tears. When everyone came back from Thanos' snap, it's just the most satisfying thing you would ever see. Okay, I don't know. Was it on your right or on your left? I don't know. I am so sorry, guys. But whatever it was, the point is, it's just an incredible scene. And Tony Stark's death is literally heartbreaking, but it is a good way for him to go out with honor and brings an absolute perfect ending where Steve Rogers gets to go back in time, basically retiring as Cap to go be with Peggy Carter again. That is why Avengers Endgame is the number one film of 2019 for me. And we're done. But I have a few announcements. One, tomorrow to celebrate Christmas Eve, I am doing a Christmas movie review. Yep, I am not telling you what Christmas movie it is, but you will be getting that on Christmas Eve. Then, on Christmas Day, you will be getting my yearly Christmas haul for the year, which, yes, I am doing that. Then, on the 26th, probably nothing. But on the 27th, you're getting a treat. I'm not telling you what it is, but it is a treat, guys. But, yeah. And then, sometime before I do go, I'm going to be making best of the decades list. Maybe. Probably. But that'll depend if I have enough time. But anyways, that big surprise is the best thing to look forward to. I hope you're excited because it is coming out Friday, December 27th. And you better get excited because it is going to be the most epic finale. Not quite in the veins of Avengers Endgame, but it is going to be a big epic finale. And I hope you're ready. Gaming Do here. See you later. Bye.